feel free to ask questions along the way. Benefits of being, here live at the user group is, you get to ask those questions. I also brought some, in the spirit of Halloween, some nice snacks, some king size Kit Kats and Twix and Reese's. So I'll be asking y'all some questions throughout the presentation, where you can come up and pick a candy of your choice.
Hey, Daniel,
Yes.
if anybody does ask a question, I don't have a mic on everybody, so if you just repeat the question
Okay.
for the virtual world too.
I
Thank
will
you.
do that. I will repeat questions if anyone here in the room has a question. Likewise for you online, if you have a question, Adam will be happy to ask. So who am I? My name is Daniel Granillo. I've been with SOLIDWORKS now for 6 years. I got 15 years of experience, over 15 years since my college years. And where I started, was in the mold and trade company industry, producing tools for the plastic injection molding. Got my degree in manufacturing engineering, where we used SOLIDWORKS in college, and I was happy to secure a job afterwards in the aerospace industry as a design engineer. Went to school for manufacturing engineering, and went hand in hand. And was with that aerospace company for a good 10 years, where I started from the bottom and worked my way up all the way up to a CAD manager position, where I'm overseeing, this company oversees, with all their CAD data management, implementing cloud software, PDM, and best practices and templates and design standards for everybody, and then just cross-training all of our engineers on how best to use SOLIDWORKS. So I got really good at using the software, and then SOLIDWORKS picked me up and said, Daniel, come work for us, developing exams. So for the last 6 years, I've been working with the SOLIDWORKS certification team, developing new exams, and for our 3D experience platform exams with those apps. So some of the most recent exams that I've helped with was updating the PDM exam, the advanced surfacing exam, the mold making, which is what it used to be called mold tools, and several other exams that my colleagues have produced and made, especially the CSWP, which was revised a couple of years ago for the 20th anniversary. We actually built in all new questions, so updated it for the 20th anniversary a couple of years ago. This is my colleague's presentation. He couldn't be here today. He's in Pennsylvania, Abilene, Virginia, so I just want to give all the credit to him. And he said, Danny, you can use my presentation for the CSWP. So was able to make this user group presentation happen. So with the SOLIDWORKS certification, what's great about it is you can quantify your level of mastery with SOLIDWORKS. And how else best to do that? With your employer, you can really, as an employer, you can find applicants and employees that stand out with the SOLIDWORKS certification. You can help your team leaders know their team strengths. Really great way to put on your goals for the year. Yeah, I'm going to become a CSWP or CSWE. And that's a really great way to help with your goals if you're having to create goals for the year for yourself, for self-improvement, for self-growth, and comprehensive levels of certifications, which we'll talk through today. But with all these industries here on the slide, what do they all have in common? Yes. They use SOLIDWORKS. They use SOLIDWORKS. Yes, SOLIDWORKS. You can come light up your grab yourself. Yes, throughout all these industries.
Don't take the Reese's.
Yeah, so you leave that Reese's.
Throughout all these industries, yes, SOLIDWORKS is everywhere. and it doesn't matter. Manufacturing, SOLIDWORKS is everywhere. And we also have certifications that help standardize, how you use the tool. Best to use it across all these industries. So in the SOLIDWORKS certification program, these next few slides talk about the path of becoming a CSWP, which is a SOLIDWORKS expert, and how to achieve that for mechanical design. First level of certification that you want to strive for, if you haven't already, is the SOLIDWORKS Associate certification. This SOLIDWORKS Associate certification, it's great for those of you who know the fundamentals, taking all the tutorials, maybe a class, and are know the basics of SOLIDWORKS. I'm talking about assembly design, drafting, part design, and so this exam really tests those capabilities. And we also have some other associate topic exams worth mentioning, such as simulation, manufacturing, and other associate level exams. But the associate would be the base level of our certification, where you can test your knowledge and your capabilities for certification. The next level of certification, which we'll be going through today and talking about more thoroughly, is the SOLIDWORKS CSWP Professional Exam. And the professional certification, that is our flagship certification across all industries. And it's for someone who works with SOLIDWORKS at least 40 hours a week, 6 months of experience using the product, using the tool. This is going to challenge your expertise on how best you are at designing effectively, efficiently. I got a lot of tips about the CSWP throughout this presentation. What's actually contained in the exam. Now, this presentation is not on optimal design practices, but I just want to take you through the actual exam. And some other CSWP advanced exams worth mentioning is the sheet metal surfacing, mold making, wellness drawing tools that we also have available, and are also prerequisites for achieving that expert level certification. So in addition to having a CSWP, you need 4 of the 5 here to go after the expert certification, which is the top certifications. We have 2 now, which is for mechanical design and simulation. And the pre-requirements for that is having CSWP and 4 of the 5 advanced CSWP professional exams mentioned in the previous slide. Are there any CSWP experts here today in the room? Everyone? Okay.
You're painful.
I'm gonna award you, yeah. I normally have some CSWP swag that I like to hand out. But it's been a while since we've had a user group or actually conference. SOLIDWORKS World, 3D Experience World Conference. This past year got live conference got canceled and all that. So this next upcoming 3D Experience World will be in Nashville next year, February, where we'll have a bunch of expert swag, something to strive for and achieve. And we don't normally give out, we don't give out any discounts or promotions for this level of certification for the expert. But everyone who's attending the 3D Experience World, this exam will be available to you to take for free at the event. So if you get yourself in good enough standing, meeting these prerequisites, you can come to Nashville next year, February, and take this exam for free. Yes.
I will also say that if you get to the exam expert level to take that if you pay for it out of pocket, because it does cost a fee, Altech has said they will reimburse you for that
If you pass it.
if you pass it. If you get a D, I don't know. No, it's either pass, go or no go. Yeah, if you do that and take it, Altech has said they would reimburse for something like that.
That I was saying, for those of you online, is that Altech will reimburse you for the CSWP certification you pay for it yourself. Should you pass.
If you work for Altech.
Yeah. Otherwise, come back next year and take it there. So Ministry of the CSWP, it's the oldest certification exam. We just celebrated the 20-year anniversary, and it's evolved from a proctored exam to fully online, where you don't need to drive to a location and take this exam anymore. It was rewritten and released in 2018, 4 years ago. Well, next year will be the 25th anniversary of this exam. It's the cornerstone for all professional level users, and like I said, recommended for users with at least 6 months of full-time hands-on experience. What do I need to take CSWP basic connection internet credit? At least SOLIDWORKS stuff 15. Dual monitors is highly recommended. And okay, so inside the CSWP core exam. So there's 3 segments of the CSWP, and it's gonna, the first segment is the hardest segment, I can tell you, of the 3. You do not have to take them in any order, but there's 3 segments. The first segment is the hardest, so I always suggest taking that one last. Should you fail a segment, you can just have to wait 14 days before you can retake it, but you can still tackle and attempt the other 2 segments of the exam. Any questions? They have downloaded models. So if you're running SOLIDWORKS on one computer and the testing environment on a separate computer, you just need a way to channel or to funnel the files that you download to your computer running SOLIDWORKS to be able to open those test files. There is a sample exam for segment 1 through the Tester Pro client. So when you launch it, you actually get 2 free sample exams that you can take. The CSWA, which is one of them, and then there's a CSWP segment 1 sample exam, which I highly recommend you taking before the actual exam.
That's on the tester client, right?
That's on the tester client.
So if everybody remembers, I sent an email out Tuesday, I think it was, Monday, Tuesday. And it had how to get to the tester client at the top and how to download that tester client. That'll let you, at least even if your CSW, not even got your CSWA, it gives you an experience of how the tester client works. But then there's also that PDF version too that's on the certification site too that you can use.
I was going to launch the Tester Pro client, but basically it's in the list of exams. You scroll over to the bottom to access that. There are a mixture of multiple choice questions, filling questions, which reduce progressive errors, which I really like. So as you take the exam, you'll be asked a series of questions to help keep you on track. You know, where you can actually see with multiple choice questions if your answer is close enough to one of those multiple choice answers. So the next question that you progress through, it's a series of questions. May require you to input an answer, a weight value, and just on track. Recommended courses, SOLIDWORKS Essentials, Advanced Part Modeling, Advanced Assembly Modeling for the CSWP. Okay. So the testing clients, you get detailed instructions. You're going to see this in the sample exam of the testing client itself. Dual monitors, definitely helps out as a real estate. Okay, so for segment one, it's about 70 minutes. Where you create and modify a solid and manage its parameters. This was the hardest segment of the three. This is where we see the most failure rate of the three segments, where you actually design a model. And the biggest tip I can give you is when you're going through the Tester Pro client, there may be 8 questions in the exam. Go ahead and preview to the next question, because it's going to give you a preview of what you need to change and what you want to do to this design for the design intent. What you need gives you a little hints on what you need to change so you can best create this this model here to be predictable. Be a predictable model where if you make any changes, it will update and you don't lose so much time, because it is a timed exam, only 70 minutes, where you need to be as efficient as possible. You know, there's probably 100 ways anyone could design, you know, this feature, this part here in stage one. Then it's going through the stage 2 where you have to make a change. You know, how many of those features that you created, you have to go through just to make that change. So making a smart, predictable model that's fully defined will really help with progression, with updating, and with creating these CAD models.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So is it possible to fast forward through a bunch of those questions and then back up?
Yep.
To catch up to it?
Yeah, you can go all the way to the end of the exam.
There's a little button down here. Next question.
That's actually a good test taking strategy, even outside of this, is to go through the questions, and if there's like written questions, especially CSWA, got 1, 2, or 3 written questions, you know, but to go through them and answer what you know you can answer, and then come back and then fill
Or
in.
like you said, knowing that
Know
I'm
what's
gonna
coming.
have to design to get to this, you
Yeah.
know, this outcome at the very, so you don't want to design yourself into a hole.
Yeah, so the question was, for those of you online, is that can we fast forward, you know, to the next questions? Is that okay? How to do it? Yes, it's okay. The bottom right of the Tester Pro client, there's the next question button where you can actually fast forward to the next question to get a preview to see what it is that you're having, what's expected of you. And there may be 4 images in the Tester Pro client that you can go through to see what it is that you need to design. That is segment 1. And just to give you an idea. So like I mentioned, you know, this, you know, I always like to move the skirt up on the design tree just to see how it was made. I do this with all my models, like, because I may receive a CAD model from a colleague and design that. And I'll just go through, you know, and move skirt down the design tree just to see what it is that the original or file gives you. File. So yes, there's many different ways to design it, and it's your job to really design it as best and efficiently as possible with fully defined sketches as possible. That's the biggest tip, is having fully defined sketches. If I just go in here, let's see, sketch. Anyone know how it's what tells you that it's fully defined? All black. So yep, that's one way. Come up here and pick a
Look at
Give me my candy bar back.
Yeah.
candle. What's another way? What's that? No blue. No blue. No blue. No blue. That's pretty much saying that it's all black.
Minus sign on the tree.
The minus sign on the tree. Let's see. Yeah, so if this was not fully defined, if I were to delete, say, this dimension here. This relationship.
Oh,
onto the loop. Notice in the tree, there's now a minus sign. That's another really great way to see it in your tree from top visibility if it's fully defined. You can come up and get candy.
Go Justin, go Justin.
And then there's a third way.
At the bottom of the screen.
Down at the bottom of the screen. Yes, you can come up and pick a candy. Yeah, right down here at the bottom of the
He
screen.
about did it. Get it,
says
just get it, get it,
underdefined.
Justin. Oh, I thought you were gonna go for the racing.
I thought about it.
And as soon as we make this. Yes. Define,
That's the only call
right
reason.
down here. Or a predictable model. That's what we want, a predictable model where we're making changes, we know exactly what's gonna happen. And it's just not gonna blow up in our face with red. Some areas of study for this segment one is creating a part from a drawing, using length dimensions and equations to aid in modeling, using equations to relate dimensions, updating parameters and dimension sizes, mass property analysis, modifying geometry on initial part to create a more complex part, and modifying parameters on the part at different stages while maintaining all the dimensions of design. Already create a brand new part. Dimension equations. I'm not sure how your SOLIDWORKS is set up, but one thing that you should do to help prepare is, have a part file, set up ready to go. Creating these files, that one, I'll tell you that it's all metric, so you don't have to worry about changing that. Make sure you're metric. I don't see the equations feature in the design tree. Yes.
One quick thing, just because you mentioned metric, the IS team has went in, the normal when you open or you create a new part, you get that window and we have our templates in there for new part, new assembly. On the right-hand side of that, if you hit that over button all the way to the right, there is a certification tab where we have already pre-set up templates for the certifications. So like the first one is for maybe 1060 mmg, right? And then the next one. So that way you can go over all the way to the right-hand side and go ahead and have those templates set up. You don't have to worry about setting from what we normally use in inches and standard to metric. So just keep that in mind. If you need me to reiterate that or show you later, let me know and I can do that.
Adam was saying that he's got templates for you guys, and it just helps saves time. Something you don't have to do that wastes any time during the actual exam with these templates. Now, if you did not see your equations feature in the feature design tree, I'll tell you, out of the box, it shows up automatically, but in your settings option here, just go down for the feature manager and for equations, here it is. I always like to set that to show always, so that it's in my design tree, it's there, so I can make the equations that I need to. So when going through the exam, I can set those up to where it updates on its own. You don't have to update so many other dimensions or parameters. That saves a lot of time. Some segment one hints, dimensioning is not to any standard for manufacturing. I'll repeat that, it's not to any standard for manufacturing. These dimensions are model items that show design intent for the underlying sketch. Using the dimensions to create sketches that will update as expected. What I talked about, you want predictable models. So this is, having dimensions that are model items that shows the design intent. If you know that dimension A is going to be changing in the upcoming questions, or dimension C or dimension R, making it to where everything else kind of grows with design intent and expands with it, so that way nothing blows up on you during to test techniques in, using linked dimensions and equations as well. So the gist of this is having predictable ones. And let's see. Now, there is a small tolerance on the exam, so you don't have to be exact. I'm not going to share with you what that tolerance is, but just know that there is a small tolerance for the actual answer. So don't be too hard on yourself if you're within, you know, a 1/10 of a millimeter when answering this question. Yeah. All right, so the CSWP segment 2 is a really great segment of the 3 to start off at. It's the easiest of the 3. It's only 50 minutes versus I think 70 or 80. And it deals primarily, part 1 is configurations. And part 2 is changing features of a part that is given to you. What I mean by that is being very well versed with configurations. You look at creating configurations from other configurations, changing configurations, obtaining the match properties, and changing or rearranging features of an existing SOLIDWORKS part. I just dive into SOLIDWORKS. I think I have one of those open. So this part here is maybe a part that you may see on the exam, where on the configurations tab, you have many different and how to manipulate it to where it doesn't mess up the other configuration of the part. So utilizing configurations is one part of the CSWP segment 2 exam. Practice dimension modifications across configurations. You want to practice feature suppression across configurations. Creating a new configuration based on another configuration. Does anyone design anything with configurations? Yeah. I went to the extent when I bought my first house a year ago. I was going to design in SOLIDWORKS. And oh my goodness, so
Yeah.
a 2x4, like I had so many configurations of lengths for this 2x4, but notches, and I got really well versed using configurations just with that one 2x4. And so being very well versed, where these configurations can update with the click of a button. You set it up with, say, equations, make it very predictable model. You should have no problem with this segment of the exam. And then modifying history of an existing part 2. Now, this is really great when you're in the workplace and your colleague hands you a model, or you have to go in there and make a revision, to that part, part that you've never touched before. You open it up and you're having to create a rep B of that part, making changes to it without totally destroying the part. See, I got that here. So when opening up a part file from a colleague, you go through the feature manager tree and slide that skirt up where you can actually see how that process. It's like just a simple extrude, another extrude, that was merge, shell, fillet, followed by a mirror. So there could have been 100 ways to design this part, but knowing what to do to help make any modification to the existing part is what's going to be testing you with the segment 2 of the CSWP. The segment 3 certification. This is the longest segment of the 3 in terms of time. You get 80 minutes, but it primarily deals with assembly design, where you download and unzip the components that you see here, and you build this robot, this really cool robot, and you slowly put it together. The assembly using a variety of mates. You know, these are probably mates that you have not used in your current job role. So being very well versed with all the assembly mates in SOLIDWORKS is going to help you. Performing assembly tasks such as clash detection is going to be a question on the exam. Interference detection is going to be a question on that exam. Obtaining the center of mass during each step is how we retrieve the answer for that specific stage in the questioning of the exam. Yes, sir.
One thing that I've seen people struggle with when it comes to the assembly is that first part they go to put in, right? There's a couple ways you can put a part into your first part into an assembly, right? You can grab it and you can drag it and it kind of just floats in there, and it's mass or center mass is kind of arbitrary wherever you lay it. Versus if you click it and hit the check, it goes right to the origin and locks into the place it should be. So remember that when you do these assemblies and you're looking for center of mass.
One of the questions with center of origin, though, he was talking about how you're taking assemblies in and out, right? You're taking parts in and out. So is there a good way to start? Which part is your center of origin?
The one in my opinion, if I can divulge this, because I guess I will, but as taking the test and seeing people take the test in the past, the best way to start out is whatever part is demonstrated on the tester client that's on the origin. Start with that part, just click it and hit the check, and it'll drop it in place, and everything is a building block off of that.
Okay.
So this is one of the configurations, or one configuration of an assembly that you may get on the exam, where the first part of the assembly is the base, and it's fixed. But Justin mentioned, where you place that part in the assembly file, it could be anywhere in space. The best design practice is to fix it to the origin of the assembly file, because you have an origin of the part file, which you see here, and then you also have an origin of the assembly file. This file and this assembly file, they're right on top of each other. How do you do that? I think I started. You insert your first part. So we want to insert this. This guy right here. If I were to just click anywhere here in space, that's not going to be on the assembly origin. For to click on the check mark, it will attach the part file origin on the assembly origin together, so that way you don't have to worry about it. Another way is if you
Think of it as your cornerstone of your building.
yeah, if you can show origins in your display on here. Now, if I were to just click on the origin, it just snaps. It snaps part origin to the assembly origin. But it does the same thing. Just hit the check mark, like Adam said. Very easy to do. And that check mark, it places the assembly origin and the origin of part file right on top of each other. So areas of study for segment 3 is going to be creating an assembly, adding parts to an assembly, doing collision detection when moving a part in an assembly, interference detection, all the mates. You want to be comfortable with all the mates, inserting subassemblies, replacing a part with another part in an assembly. Creating a coordinate system is important. Make sure you know how to create a coordinate system inside of an assembly. And using a coordinate system to perform match property analysis. Going back to our assembly, one cool mate here, one that I hardly use is the path. So you may be given, this path here where this robot arm has to travel on. And understanding how to use path mate to where that arm actually follows that path is one of them. Using, let's see here. Oh, this is something to be careful of. Some simple errors is when being asked to measure this angle, the output given from SOLIDWORKS, sometimes when measuring an angle, they'll give you the opposite. So instead of 45, they'll give you another half, which is 70, or something like that. So just understand which angle you got to put in that's asking for. And
Just know there's 360 degrees in a full circle, and if it's not the 145, it's the other 45, and subtract it from the 180 or the whatever. You'll get there eventually.
just make sure you're measuring the correct angle, or the output's giving you what you need, not its complement. Yes, many different levels will be tested with the mates. Practice and familiarize yourself with all mates. You've got that path mate that I mentioned. Different mates in SOLIDWORKS that you want to be very well versed on.
Remember, I had a teacher in college that said, if I refer to a certain problem or say you may want to know this, it's probably going to be on the test.
We got concentric mates, we have symmetric mates. Symmetric is a really good one. And what I love about SOLIDWORKS is that even though if you never use that mate, the how-to, step-by-step process, when it asks you, okay, this is what you gotta do next. You just follow the wizard, pretty much get what it is that you're looking for. And you're like, oh wow, I never knew, that feature could do that before, or SOLIDWORKS had that capability. Because you just never, use it in your agent. Some general assembly functionality, such as collision detection, replacing an existing component within another assembly, is going to be on the exam. Okay, well, any questions? I think I played it. I think I was in Nashville maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And it wasn't this specific user group, but I played this video by my good friend Toby on predictable models, and everybody loved it. So I love to play that. It's like a little 2-minute video for you guys. Let's see. Fully define every time. I'm not sure if we got any speaker. Let's see. Is there a way to turn up the volume?
Can you share your screen? Did you select the audio feature?
No, I don't think so. Let's see, pause.
Audio output. Microphone. Okay. I'm just gonna play the video anyway, and maybe I'll sing it in place of my good friend Toby. All right. So you don't want it red, you don't want it red, but you don't also want it blue. You gotta fully define every time. You wanna fully define every time. And when you gotta add relations and you gotta add dimensions, just grab that horizontal mate and add that dimension. You wanna fully define every time. Now you wanna mate it, fully define it, and have those predictable models every time. Oh, there's my good friend Toby. What's up, Toby? Don't want it red. You don't want it red, but you also don't want it blue. You gotta fully define every time. Just grab your construction and add it to the origin. And you gotta add dimensions, gotta add relations, gotta fully define every time. That's all I got. But yes.
I don't think I remembered all those words.
Yeah.
That's an actually pretty cool video Toby's done.
Yeah, he has so much really great content, and making sure, in an assembly and you are dimensioning to the origin. You have those predictable models to help you throughout the way, and making sure everything's black and not red or blue. Okay, so I got 3 more candy bars up here, and I'm going to ask you all some questions. Let's see some SOLIDWORKS questions. Let's see here. I'll start with, all right. I need someone to tell me 4 mates that you can create in an assembly, 4 different mate relations. Anybody? Yes.
Coincident, perpendicular, parallel, and width.
Good job. Come out and get a candy bar.
Just mix it all.
All right. What's the in terms of difficulty on this CSWP exam? What's the easiest and the hardest of the segments that you can expect to see? First is the hardest. Second is the easiest. And yep, and segment 3 is the middle one. Yeah, you can come up and get a candy bar.
Real quick question, just I guess for verification, make sure I'm thinking right as well. You don't have to pass all 3 segments, right? You can pass segment 2 and fail segment 3 and come back and retake segment 3 later, right?
Correct. So should you fail a segment of the CSWP, don't let that get you down. You can still take the other 2 segments of the exam.
Do you know when you fail it? I mean, one section at a time, you know when you fail that section.
Yeah. If you haven't done the CSWA certification, I highly recommend, that's a really great place to start out at. Take that exam. I'm giving you guys a free credit for both. So tackle that first and then tackle the CSWP. But it'll tell you right after you finish your score and if you passed or not. And you get an immediate email with your certification.
So you can take the P without taking the A.
You can take the professional level without taking the associate level.
What is the full length that a man needs to set aside for the CSWP verification?
That's the greatest thing why we, segmented it into 3 segments. You don't have to sit there for like over 3 hours, to take that exam, because segment 1, I think, is 70 minutes. Segment 2 is what's segment 2? Segment 3 is 80 minutes. That's a good hour, 20 minutes right there. Segment 2 is 50 minutes. So this one being the easiest, will take you less than an hour to do. And then segment 1 was an hour and 10 minutes.
Segment like today, I want to do this segment, tomorrow I'll do that segment.
Yeah. You did not have to sit there the whole time.
And since Daniel's already threw this out there, what really makes you guys have a little bit more of an advantage of people that did not come to this meeting is you have an extra credit. Altair's going to give you a credit for December 2nd, right? With the credits he's giving you,
Got a bird one?
you can have some burners before you even get to December.
Yeah.
And if you pass before December 2nd, guess what? You're off the hook on December 2nd. But if you went through those and you burned them and you failed, you still got December 2nd to back up on. So everybody in this room and on this call has an advantage over everybody else who's taking advantage of it.
So I'm giving you a free burner. Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and suggest, as he mentioned earlier, go ahead and burn that up because there is a 14-day waiting period. So just make sure when you do these, your burner, make sure you're outside of the 14 days of December 2nd, so it doesn't affect your December 2nd certain part.
Yes, Justin.
That practice test, is that a 14-day waiting period too? I know you can take it multiple times, but you can take it whenever.
Once you pass it, then that's it. You can't take it again.
Practice test once if you pass it.
Yeah, you can only take the practice test once if you pass it. Yeah.
But if you fail, you can keep it.
If you fail, you can keep taking it. Yeah. And online, there's a paper version of it. Let's see.
That's the other one I sent out in the email too. I sent everybody a link to the PDF for the CSWA and CSWP PDF. And those PDFs will actually give you a lot of information. It reiterates a lot of what Daniel said today, tells you what's going to be on each section, tells you what you need to know, as well as gives you some sample models to work on.
Yeah. So there's a PDF on our website that you can download to obtain that. So you can do that as many times as you like. And the answers are at the end of the PDF to double check your work.
Yeah, so don't go to the end and get the answers and come back.
Yeah.
I like the reverse engineer.
Okay, let's see. One more question for that Reese's. Let's see here. Yeah. When is 3D Experience World? When's the next 3D Experience World coming up? February. Yeah. That's right. Nashville. Yep. I hope to see you all there at 3D Experience World in Nashville. It's what, only a 5-hour drive from here? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So come up and grab a Reese's, give it to a colleague, give it, yeah, give it to your kid. So yeah, I just want to thank you all for having me. And if you ever want help, maybe with some advanced professional presentations, I do have one on surfacing that I can do to help you guys when you're ready to tackle the some of the advanced exams. And some of my colleagues from SOLIDWORKS, I can reach out to if should you want, someone to present to you guys and talk about any other tool in SOLIDWORKS or about the platform with you guys. So thank you guys. And thank you for everyone online who stayed with me that long. Hope you all got plenty of information to help you with that exam. And I'm going to make sure Adam and Justin collects all of your emails. That's what I'm going to use to give you the credit for your burner credit for the CSWA and the CSWP. Yeah, you just want to make sure you don't use any other email ID other than the one that you provide, Adam and Justin. That's how we no longer give out voucher codes. We now link it directly to your email ID. So if you don't already have a tester account, you'll want to use whatever email ID you hand over to your user group leader. That email is what you're going to want to use to register with for your tester account to receive that free credit, that free burner credit.
Any questions from anybody that's online?
I just want to thank everybody. If there's any questions that anybody has online before we close out. Yeah, we'll definitely need to get everybody's email online as well. So if you just want to drop those in the chat. Yeah, and we will have some door prizes here in just a few minutes if you just stay on online, because you'll be able to get either the digital gift card or a subscription to Makers for, I think it's a year. So that's 2 prizes that you can get if you're on digital. Okay. Well, thank you, Daniel, for presentation. Yeah, we can all give him another round of applause. Yeah. And if there's any questions that come up, you can shoot them to me or Adam, and we can kind of get something back to you if it has to do with CSWP. One thing I do want to bring up, if you are on here and you're with Altec, make sure to look at that email that Adam has sent out. When did you send that out? On Tuesday?
I believe it was
Monday. Tuesday, Monday. Okay. Yeah. So go back and look. What's that?
Monday at 2:20.
Monday at 2:20. Look for an email from Adam. So you'll see where you need to sign up to take the CSWP. I think he also sent one out on Tuesday. Was
Monday
it?
was the one for sign up.
Monday was the sign up, and then Tuesday, just search Adam's name and you see something that says certification, just check those emails.
446 was this.
Yeah. I know most of everybody's Adam's emails probably go to your junk box, so check your junk box as well. So, okay, so we'll have a random number picker, and I'll pick a few door prizes. But does anybody else have anything before we move on to that? Thank you all for coming. Oh, one announcement too before we get to the door prizes. So the Western North Carolina SWUG group and the Altec SWUG group are trying to plan on, since ours is going to fall like the week before Christmas, we're thinking we're probably not going to have a lot of precipitation.
Yeah.
Precipitation. We may have snow. But anyways, we're going to try to join those groups together, and that's going to be in November, and there'll be some information come out about that in the future. There's talks of maybe almost even, I guess you'd call it a field trip. But we'll give some more information about that in the future. So more than likely our next meeting here at Altec for the Altec SWUG will be in
November 17th.
Yeah, well, it won't be here. The next meeting here will probably be, what was that? February. So February will be our next meeting here. So,
That November one will be an awesome meeting. We've got 2 ideas we're starting around right now. If the first one falls through, we're going with the second one. But they will, either idea is going to be pretty phenomenal and not one to miss. So.
all right, let's do a few door prizes and we'll dismiss. There's plenty of food back here for you guys that are here. If you want to take some with you, or
We can mail it to those that are on the call.
so let's do, yeah, we can email it to the guys on the call. Let's see. Let me find my random. Take this thing off. All right, I'm gonna pull up a random.
Let's generate the ones for the other guys. Let's
I've
do
got this.
the maker first and then do the gift card. And then once those are done, we can get rid of the people on the call.
Do the ones online first.
Do the maker first and the gift card first.
Okay. All right.
Online people.
So we're gonna do the maker edition and the gift card first, so we can close that. Let's see. So we have,
How many more are online?
I think I'm gonna pull it up. They still on Zoom.
I got them all.
So we'll do Austin. Okay. And Andrew
Yeah, we got 5 people online.
and
So we're about 20 people for this meeting. That's pretty good.
and then we'll take. So we'll do 2 through 6. All right, we'll do
Could be
the.
better. We got 50 plus engineers in this office.
Hey,
We're
it's
getting there. We're moving
hey, we
fast.
tripled last time.
We
So 3.
I agree.
God. I had no part of that, Adam. All I do is drive here. I'm just the driver. No, I'm number 1.
Oh,
So.
okay, gotcha.
All right. So the first one, we're going to do the digital gift card. And the winner is Phil Taylor. He's asleep, but he's online. Yep.
You have to send an email in the next 30 seconds.
Phil, respond back in the next 30 seconds in the chat so we know you heard you're a winner.
He's there.
He's there.
Yeah, he's there. All right. So Phil got the gift card. All right. So now we're going to do the Makers Edition. So basically, it's like a free SolidWorks for your personal computer. It's all, well, except for SolidWorks. SolidWorks is actually a desktop version, but everything else is a cloud version. You might
With Maker.
with Maker. Mhm. Yeah, you'll get it. It's a year subscription.
It's Pro. It's SolidWorks Pro.
All right, so we'll generate that. So that winner is Jason Robertson.
Okay, so that.
Yeah.
So now with that, the 2 virtual prizes that we were allowed to give out for anybody that was on the call have been given out. So we'll go ahead and end the call. We do appreciate everybody calling in and being a part of this. And it has been recorded, so we'll probably put that out on YouTube or something, and you guys can come back and check it out at a later time if you need to. But that concludes our Zoom portion of this meeting.
Thanks, guys.